the wrong Mexican.
Hello Internet, this is Jesse Taylor here. I just got back from seeing Machete a little bit earlier, and I just thought I'd make a quick video giving my views, thoughts, impressions, and finally what I thought of the whole movie. Machete, starring Danny Trejo, actually came out, originally the idea came from a fake trailer that was played with Grindhouse, which was a two-feature film that came out a few years back that had a Death Proof, directed by Quentin Tarantino, and Planet Terror, directed by Robert Rodriguez. And in between these two films, there are a bunch of fake trailers directed by different directors. And the one that Robert Rodriguez did was Machete, which basically tells the story of a Mexican federale who is basically betrayed and then goes on a killing rampage to get the bad guy. A very simple plot. Well, anyways, the trailer proved to be so popular that the idea for actually doing a film came about. Now, it has been a few years, and we finally got the feature-length Machete. And basically, if you saw the trailer on Grindhouse, that's precisely what this movie is. It doesn't use the kind of beat-up film stock effect that Grindhouse did to make it look like it was a movie that had been, you know, making the rounds at various drive-in movie theaters. In the beginning, you see some of the lines and scratches, but it kind of ditches that after a kind of prologue that's in the beginning. But anyways, Machete, starring my good friend Danny Trejo. Awesome! Basically, you don't even need to hear me talk about it. Just trust me. Go out now and see it. If it's too late for a show, go tomorrow and see it. This should be the only thing on your plate for this weekend and anytime during the next week. But as soon as possible, you should see this movie. Because, oh man, where to begin? Machete is, well, for one, horribly violent. So if you have to turn your head during some of the, you know, action scenes and say Harry Potter, this isn't the movie for you. There's blood galore, there's a bit of nudity in there, there's language, of course, so it's rather over the top, though, in every respect. The blood is, a lot of times when someone gets killed or decapitated, limbs hacked off, all that kind of thing happens in the movie. The blood, it's done to such an over-the-top effect that at times it almost comes off as comical. The whole thing, yeah, it's never very deadly serious. It's not played as a joke necessarily, but some of the stuff is so, again, over the top that you can't help but laugh at a few of the scenes. For instance, when Danny Trejo uses someone's large intestines to rappel out of a window, you know, it's a bit violent, but what you're looking at, you kind of laugh at just because it's so ridiculous. Anyway, a little bit more into the movie. As I said, the movie, the plot isn't anything particularly complex. Basically, Danny Trejo plays a Mexican federale. He gets, in the very beginning prologue, he goes to rescue a girl that is being supposedly kidnapped by a Mexican drug lord played by Steven Seagal. And Steven Seagal, along with some other actors, this is actually the best work they've done in a long time. But I'll get into that. Anyways, so we have the beginning prologue, essentially Steven Seagal as Torres, the Mexican drug lord. He ends up, well, he kills his wife. I think he kills his daughter. I wasn't quite sure on that. Basically tries to kill Machete. But then we fast forward a few years, and Machete is now a immigrant here in America. He's just doing like day laborer jobs. Waiting outside of, looks like an old warehouse with the other Mexicans and other illegals, I suppose. Just looking for work. Anyways, he is approached by, at first we don't really know what he is, a guy played by Jeff Fahey, who's been around for a while. He's probably most famously known as the Lawnmower Man, but here he plays, actually he's like an aide to a senator, played by Robert De Niro. In any event, he hires Machete to assassinate Robert De Niro's character, who plays a senator. Basically, he sells it as because Robert De Niro's character is a hard line against illegal immigration, He's saying it's the best for both their countries because he realizes that, you know, the illegals do so much work and contribute to the economy. It would be good for both Mexicans and Americans if this senator was taken out of the picture, because otherwise he was going to, you know, ram through some legislation and do stronger border enforcement, which would make the immigration that much harder. He hires Machete to kill the senator, but he's double-crossed. It turns out this was all a setup of some sort. Basically, it was just to make the senator's position stronger, because it looks like, basically the way they portrayed it, Machete, a illegal immigrant, ends up trying to take a shot at the senator, so that actually helps his campaign, because now, oh, he's proven right, we need to have tougher border security, and these guys are just terrorists. So that actually helps the re-election campaign of the senator. So that's kind of the basic plot. He is betrayed, and he goes out to get the people who betrayed him. Very simply. Some of the characters he interacts with throughout the film are, you've seen in the previews, Jessica Alba, who's an INS agent, actually ends up helping him in this quest. Michelle Rodriguez is actually, she runs some sort of like almost underground railroad where she gets the Mexican immigrants, she helps bring them across, sets them up with jobs and a life and that kind of thing. Although she's actually almost like a militant revolutionary at the same time, which comes into play a little bit later in the film. Other characters, we have Don Johnson, who basically plays an insane version of a Minuteman, one of the Minutemen, the people that are down on the border, you know, patrolling. He's super violent, and basically stops the immigrants from coming across with firearms. So everyone does, I think, really well. As I kind of mentioned, this is the best work that a lot of these actors have done in a long time. Steven Seagal especially, and he's not Mexican, but you kind of buy it. He has dark skin. I think he's half Native American as it is. So you go, all right, we'll buy that. Robert De Niro, his films as of late haven't been that great. I don't know if you've seen Righteous Kill and a few others, but it's pretty sad. So he did pretty well here. Other actors, Cheech Marin's in it, and actually most of the roles he's done in Robert Rodriguez films especially are pretty well. Here he plays a priest and also the brother of Machete. He does well. Jessica Alba, who's easy on the eyes, to put it lightly, does pretty good in the movie. Michelle Rodriguez, who's had a long line of questionable films, actually does well as a, you know, Mexican revolutionary of sorts. And also looks easy on the eyes, I should say. Lindsay Lohan is in the film, which you'd think would be a bit of stunt casting, but as all the trailers and previews have shown, well, they don't show her in it. So if you don't advertise the stunt, I don't know how it's stunt casting. She's okay. You could have replaced her with basically any actress and get the point across, but they don't focus on her very much, so I'll give her a pass. But really the star of the show is Danny Trejo. And I know the dude's like pushing 60, but he's a total badass, to put it lightly. Not only does he use a machete, but he uses basically all other sorts of weapons he's quite proficient at. And he kills the bad guys in all sorts of different ways. Chopping off heads and limbs and hitting people with a weed whacker and a pickaxe, and oh, it's awesome. The action is over the top and bloody, and as I kind of mentioned, you do get some nudity, but this being kind of a grindhouse type film, everything I described are kind of hallmarks of the genre. Even some of the camera work with the zoom-ins and the shots and where, you know, how everything's composed, it kind of gives an old grindhouse 1970s, you know, exploitation film feel to the whole proceedings. So overall, very impressed. The movie actually does tease a sequel, which I don't know if it'll come to be, but I would definitely sign up for. So my final verdict, I suppose, I'm going to go on a grade letter scale, so I'm going to say an A. It's basically everything that the trailer promised, the actual trailer for the movie and the trailer that played back in the Grindhouse days during that film. And it's basically just awesome time. Action's great, the actors all do a good job. It's actually funny because some of the action is so over the top. I definitely recommend it.
If you're gonna hire Machete to kill the bad guy, you better make damn sure the bad guy isn't you. Machete.
Soy un hombre muy honrado que me gusta lo mejor. A mujeres no me falta ni el dinero ni el amor. Jineteando en mi caballo por la sierra yo me voy.